quickly look at the Nigeria's commercial banks, which today started moving cash out of the central bank vault, or 200, 500, and 1,000 notes. Those notes were earlier withdrawn by the financial regulator. Now, the move to re-inject the old Naira notes into circulation was to ease the crunching scarcity of Naira in Africa's biggest economy. In the meantime, the Nigerian Labour Congress has issued a notice of national protest to shut down all central bank offices, including the headquarters in Abuja. And they're pointing to the scarcity of the new Naira notes as the basis for that. Let's get a whole lot more into this now. So I turn to Awoyemi, who is the founder and the chairman of Proshare, Nigeria's leading data, research, and financial information powerhouse. Femi, good evening. Thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
Good evening. Good evening, Proshare.
Thank you so much. Now, from a socio-economic point of view, how would you describe the current first quarter of the year 2023 for Nigeria?
Well, 2023 first quarter has gone according to plan, but there are a few indicators that are important that we may bring out of there. One is the fact that the Purchasing Managers Index, for example, has dropped from about 53.5% in January to 44.7%. If there's any indication to show that there is a brewing economic challenge, that is one thing that will show us what is going on. Secondly, we expect that quarter one will show that Nigeria has achieved a slower growth and a higher inflation than expected. And the consequences of this are very clear. It's not just the monetary policy index, it's the fact that we've had a longer period of our electionary campaign. And what we'll see that the consequences of the net effect of this action is you would have a lower domestic real disposable income and consumption. And at the same time, we have a higher domestic unemployment rate and consequentially a higher mixed readers. It will be tough, but definitely the first quarter will not be definitive of what the full year should look at. So we'll take the quarter one and perhaps also the quarter two on the chin. And as we look forward to seeing how we can deal with international headwinds spilling from quarter four 2022 and the global challenges that we face right now.
Interesting. Do you think we are nearing resolving the issues surrounding the new Naira notes exercise? Do you think we are on the way to resolving it, as it were, looking at where we're coming from last October?
Well, there are so many issues to unpack about the new Naira notes, but what I can say consequentially is that the new Naira notes exercise requires now a lot more patience than ever before. Like all other countries who are becoming increasingly less cash dependent, we are seeking to go to that way, but the way we went about it created a lot of challenges. It is important to note that countries that are heavily dependent on digital transactions also have large retail credit activities that require digital footprints to enable, for example, the assessment of credit risk. Nigeria does not have that large retail credit economy, so digital payments assessments would understandably be a little bit challenged. So to answer your question directly, we are not anywhere near resolving it, but we seem to be on the right path, because given that December deadline that we have, it gives us a number of chances to do two things at the same time. We can see what I call the moral suasion, whereby we move towards more larger digital transactions, but not a cashless society as sold.
Do you think Nigeria can afford a labor protest at this time, and on the basis of the new Naira notes, as the Nigeria's Labour Congress issued a notice of protest, picketing of the central bank, not just the branches across the country, but as well as the headquarters both in Lagos and in Abuja?
Well, listen, there's never a good time to protest. There's not a good time to protest. But the issue is really not about labor protesting or the affordability of the protest. Is whether Nigeria can avoid further disruptions to the resilient economy that we've run up to now. And the answer is no. Labor disruption, in effect, is an event. What monetary policy does is about trends. Trends are definitely more enduring and are more important. So what I see is that we should, as a people, understand that the crisis that labor is pushing forward, it's ill-informed. It's not about timing. but it's just ill-informed because I do not understand what it seeks to resolve. Here's what you see here. This cash situation has altered people's lives in so many ways that we can know. Unless somebody is lying, it has affected everyone across the board. Whoever was targeted, whatever reason it was done, the ramifications are so deep. So what we look at here is that how do we therefore, given the window between when the MPC finished and what we understand that the central bank is talking about, create the opportunity for the central bank to create what I call milestones management indicators that says between now and then, how much of those more take out and how much money are we bringing back in? And how much of those undestroyed currencies, I use the word destructively, undestroyed currencies that goes in. What you see here is a function of supply and demand. The person that controls the whole supply is the central bank. And the labor arrest is not, we're not selling rice and beans here. The labor arrest will do nothing, absolutely achieve nothing, if not to create further disruption to the system. What I believe the labor can do is to say, as we move towards how to change money supply in terms of recomposition, and we should go ahead and have a means in which we are engaging the central bank in such a way that tells us that by this week we should have brought XY in, we should have taken XY% back, we are bringing XY in, and that's all what we need right now. I mean, what's it called? The deadline expired on March 20th. The second deadline is March 29th. I do not understand for why picketing the central bank offices will solve any problem. It makes no complete sense at all.
Okay, so do you think the December 31st deadline set by the Supreme Court will be the final horizon as far as this issue is concerned, with all that it takes to withdraw currency? You spent some years of your career in banking sector, so you're a former banker, by the way. So, take currency out, bring it back into the vault, then you take it back, then you put it to the ATM. Do you think we'll be able to resolve all of this finally by December 31st?
It's very, very disturbing for me to be discussing the central bank in the same breath as and using the Supreme Court as a benchmark upon which a decision by the central bank will be taken. But that's where we are right now. So here's what I think, and I honestly believe this. I think that the benchmark set by the Supreme Court is a reasonable guide. The central bank would come up and work out a scheme in which it will guide everyone on how we will achieve this. Look, we've gone through this pain for about 3 months. The next 2 weeks or 3 weeks shouldn't be too difficult to enable the central bank to roll out the necessary interventions. It won't be easy. It's not going to be able to cover it all at a go. And so it's important that we know that December 31 is a reasonable milestone to allow us to get to near where we are in terms of the balance for what people need. And then we'll continue to move on. Hopefully by then we should have increased, not substantially, the new notes, and then we'll be able to bring back the old notes. But that, for me, leads to questions. The new administration will have to take a decision, a very serious decision. Are we talking about currency recomposition, currency redesign, or currency redenomination? So I think that there is a larger argument that would have to be made, sometimes in the second quarter or third quarter, when the new administration comes in, and we'll take a look at what Nigeria really needs to get out of the situation. But I think right now, the indicators are that we should work with the reasonable timelines that we have, and we give the central bank the necessary opportunity to kind of ramp up capacity back again.
Great insight and perspectives from you, as always, Olufemi Awoyemi, founder and chairman at Proshare. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. We appreciate that.